Okay, we are now on chapter 4. This chapter, a lot of you, I am realizing that not only do you remember a lot of it from your first class, but you've actually had to deal with it within your 2 years out there in the field. This is escrow management. So a couple of things that you need to know that's very important. And I will say kudos, hats off to you guys, because this chapter seems like everybody is pretty clear with it. They're going, yeah, we got it, no problem. So I'll just run through some of the main points real quick on it. So remember your escrow account, basically what it is, of course, it is funds. Your escrow account is money that is held, that holds actually a contract. When you write a contract, your client, they want to, or either they're required to have escrow money to hold that account. So it can be called the good faith deposit. You've heard of that. That's what you're looking at. If you go over to your page 95, it's talking about now as a manager over the escrow, you the broker, if you are going to maintain an escrow account, which means when that client writes that check, they will give it to the brokerage to hold until closing time. Number one, the broker is the one who is the signatory on an escrow account. He is the main one on that escrow account. Now, if the broker wants to, I don't know, have the secretary or his assistant also be sign checks or bookkeeping to sign checks or something, that's fine. But it is the broker who is the responsible party on that escrow account. As you know, there is a time frame that the funds have to be turned in. It tells you down to the bottom. If it is an associate, sales associate or broker associate, you have to turn that money over to the broker by the end of the next business day. The broker himself has to get that money into the escrow account no later than the end of 3 business days, okay? That's a repeat. You guys should know that. That's very important. And actually you do. Like I said, the most of you were pretty clear with this. Over on the next page, you have the post-dated checks and insufficient funds, which is page 95. Remember, you can take a post-dated check as long as you get the approval from the seller first. Once you get that, it goes to the buyer, the broker. The broker is the one who's responsible for maintaining or keeping that check in the proper place until it's time to put it into or deposit it into the escrow account. As long as the broker gets the money into the escrow account at the appropriate time, the broker's not responsible for the check if it outs, okay? He's responsible for maintaining and making sure that it gets there in the proper time. Over on page 97, they're talking about interest-bearing escrow account. Remember, yes, you can put the escrow money in an interest-bearing escrow account. However, you have to get approval from all parties first before you put that money in that escrow account, in that interest-bearing account. If you flip over to the next page, on page 98, remember, if you don't want to use an escrow account, that's fine. You can have the money, you can use an attorney or a title company for the escrow account. If you would prefer for them to do it, make sure that you do receive a receipt from either party if in the event that is the case, that you're going to use the attorney or either the title company. Over on page 99, on page 99, where they have record keeping requirements. You should know this by now. So how many days, how many years actually must the broker keep all the records of contracts and deals? 5 years. Remember, 5 years is what the broker has to keep records of all their deals. If you flip on over, now they're talking about the broker's trust liability, which basically it tells you is the total sum of deposits received and being held to the brokerage at any point of time. Calculating the trust liability for a sales escrow account. So basically, and what they're talking about there, they said for our purpose, we will, excuse me, the sales deposits are held in escrow separate from the property management escrow funds. And you will see that as well. So you may have, if you have a brokerage that actually is going to do sales as well as rentals or property management, usually they'll have a sales escrow and they'll have a property management escrow so that they can maintain that and keep that separate. Then they have a copies of escrow accounts that they're showing here. On page 102, broker's money to maintain escrow account. Remember, basically the only thing that should be going in that escrow account is the good faith deposit funds. However, you are allowed to keep up to $1,000 of your own personal money into an escrow account for maintenance services, not to go paying your light bills at the office. Okay, so those are some of the things they're talking about. On page 103, brokers monthly reconciliation. So here's the deal, brokers. If you're going to have an escrow account, you have to make sure that you do a monthly reconciliation of that account. It actually on page 105, 106, 107, it gives you examples of the of how you can actually do those. Do the escrow reconciliation forms, okay? So that's what you would be looking at if you're not going to use that attorney or that title company. Over on page 108, on 108, you have heard about the escrow disputes. So basically, sometimes you have the buyer and the seller fussing over who should get the escrow money. That's basically what you're talking about. There's a time frame that everything has to be done concerning that, the time that the broker has to notify the Florida Real Estate Commissioners, and a time frame just in case they get it settled before. Here again, another good place to go to is on the next page, 109. In the gray box, it summarizes key reporting deadlines of escrow accounts. Talks about the time for the sales associates and broker associates to get the money over to the broker. Make sure you know that. The broker's time frame that they have to get. The next bullet, broker must notify the FREC in writing when he has a conflicting demand. Buyer, seller fussing over who should get the escrow money within 15 days. If they have to use the settlement procedure, if the Florida Real Estate Commissioners say use one of your mails, mediation, arbitration, litigation, escrow disbursement order, 30 days. And if the broker settles it before he gets the EDO letter, 10 days. So that's good. Make sure you're clear on that. Here again, it seems like the majority of you are. Okay. All right. So it continues to talk about them. Flip on over to page 112, notice and settlement procedures requirement for special types of property. So if you have like a property management deposit and advance rent, it tells you the Residential Landlord and Tenant Act relieves brokers of the duties to notify the FREC of dispute over security deposits. That's concerning the property management deposit and escrow. Okay, and so basically those are the main thing. Although one other thing that I wanted to mention to you is on your page 112. Look at the unclaimed escrow funds. It tells you the Department of Finance, if you have some unclaimed escrow. Anybody have any unclaimed escrow? Let us know. No, just kidding, guys. If you have any unclaimed escrow, it will be the Department of Finance Services is the state depository for abandoned unclaimed escrow. Okay, so pretty much you guys are pretty good on with this chapter. Just a quick overview of it is what we did. Okay, we'll talk again soon.